Yeah. The sweet sounds of Everything Must Change. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Music and Conversation. I have grown very fond of these shows because I'm able to bring on not only my friends, but some of the great artists on alone together on here for you and actually learning more about them myself, which I think is fantastic. This week is very exciting because it is what we call release week. My new album, Alone Together, again here, is coming out on Friday. 2 days from now, it'll be available everywhere in the world. And what a campaign this has been. It's been a lot of fun because we have, again, been able to do these music and conversation shows. I had my album release concert this past Saturday, which was an absolutely blast. I think some of you guys might have seen it. A lot of other fun things been going on, and it's such a pleasure to start a project, and all suddenly, before you know it, it all comes together and comes out. But today, we have a guest on here that I am also very fond of, a gentleman that I have known for years now, and we certainly got to know each other really well about a year ago for Christmas when we spent a month, 5 weeks together on the road on the Dave Koss and Friends Christmas show, along with, of course, Dave Koss, Melissa Manchester, and Jonathan Butler. So, ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, here is my buddy and vocalist, bassist extraordinaire, Chris Walker. Hey, Chris. Can you hear me? We can't hear you. We can't hear you. One more time. Try to plug in again. We can't hear you. Chris. Let's see. Try to unplug.
Oh, can
Oh,
you hear me?
there. Yes, now we can. That was nothing but silence and then buzz, and here you are. Hello,
What,
Chris.
what about now? Can you hear me
We can
now?
hear. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, you're certainly loud and clear now. How you doing, buddy?
Interesting. I'm doing great, man. I messed up my drum roll. I had a scat.
Well, the thing about it is that technology. We are all had to learn so much this past year about streaming technology and how it all works, and it's been an interesting year. But Chris, thank you so much for being a part of Alone Together. It is always a pleasure to have your sweet voice on anything, really, and you did such a beautiful job on Everything Must Change. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was truly, truly my pleasure, and that's one of my favorite songs. Al used to sing it in the show, and we kind of did it as a duet. And I hadn't done it in such a long time, so thank you for inviting me to join you.
Well, again, you did such a fabulous job, and that tune has become, I should say, one of my signature songs to do in my live shows. There was a moment there that I actually recorded it on an album called Everything Must Change, and ever since then it's been in the show. But every now and then, you got to clear out the set a little bit to allow for some new music, and
Right.
every time I did that, I got complaints.
They want
You
that
gotta,
song, right?
you gotta put that song. Well, you can take all the other stuff out, but you gotta leave that one in. So
Right.
it is, I think, maybe permanently in the show at this point.
Well, we'll have to do it live one day. One day we're gonna have to do it live.
That's right. And I always say that song has magical powers because people say, "Oh my God, I get tears in my eyes. I think about this. I think about that," and
Right.
the same thing happens to me every time I play that song. It just for me has magical powers. What about you?
Oh, absolutely. I connect with it from an emotional standpoint, man, and
Yeah,
it transcends to the audience.
yeah,
People just connect with that song.
yeah,
There's an emotional, spiritual
yeah.
element to it that I
I
absolutely love.
I agree. So, Chris, you and I spent 5 weeks together on the road, really, between rehearsals and the tour about a year ago, and which was really the last sort of big tour we both did before the pandemic hit. What have you been up to in the last year? How are you weather these crazy times and, you know?
Well, interestingly, I decided to, I started posting, songs to lift people's spirits during the pandemic. And man, it really took off, and people started relying on me weekly. I was posting 2 songs a week.
Wow.
Just in the performances that I was doing, everything that I've posted have been live takes as if I was doing it live. I mean, because when you're videoing something, you can't go back and punch it in.
Right.
And at the same time, it keeps me on my toes in terms of bettering my craft, you see. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. I've been writing. I'm re-releasing, in the process of re-releasing the high resolution version of the Al Jarreau We're in This Love Together Celebrating Al
cool.
Jarreau project. And actually it's coming out April 16th. So right around the corner from your release as well. And I'm excited about it. And I'm also releasing some songs and singles in Africa too. So a lot going on.
Well, Chris, we'll definitely get to the whole Al Jarreau thing, because that's from where I know you. But I want to go a little bit before that. So this is something for me, and I'm sure everybody else wants to know too. So you now live in Houston, Texas. Is that right?
Correct.
By the way, were you without water and power too in all of that crazy time?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my
We lost water for just a little while, but we were without power for 2 days.
Yeah, what a mess that was. In the middle of a blizzard, too. Oh,
yes, indeed. But by the grace of God, we didn't have any burst pipes, so we were in good shape. But
yeah. But are you originally from Houston? I'm sad to say I don't know, but are you originally from Texas, or tell us? You are.
Born and raised. And in Houston.
Yeah.
I attended the high school for the performing and visual arts.
Right.
And when I was 18, I walked into the kitchen, my parents' kitchen, with my bags packed and said, I'm moving to New York City. I didn't have a discussion with them or anything.
Right.
I just said, I'm leaving.
Right.
So I go to New York. I'm there one day. The school I wanted to attend, which was the New School for Jazz Contemporary Music, was already in progress. So I go down to the school the next day just to check it out. I walk in, I hear music coming out of the auditorium. They saw I was carrying a bass. They invited me up to play. Wow. The dean of the school walked in and instructed over the program and gave me a full scholarship to go to school.
Really?
Full scholarship.
So you ended up spending a lot of time in New York City then?
I lived in New York for 13 years.
Yeah. Wow.
13 years.
Yes, yeah, I did not know that. And what happened after that? Did you end up moving back to Texas? Did you ever live out here in California or no?
I did for a brief stint, and I was never there because I was always on the road. And I had a house in Houston and an apartment in LA, and so I tried it for maybe a year, and I just said, nah.
Not for you, huh? Yeah.
Well,
you're missing that Southern hospitality, weren't you?
There you go.
So would you say your first professional gig was with Ornette Coleman, or what would you say was your break into becoming first a side musician and then your own artist? But what would you say?
Well, Ornette Coleman certainly was probably my first quote unquote big gig, and during that time period, I received a call also to audition for a singer by the name of Regina Bell.
Oh, sure, of course.
So, and I go down to audition. She hired me on the spot. Shortly afterwards, I became her musical director. So for years, I was playing with Ornette Coleman and Regina Bell.
Sure.
There was no conflict until they both decided to tour at the same time. So
which, by the way, will happen.
Well,
you're thinking like, no, this is perfect.
Well, I was good for 2 years. So, needless to say, I wanted to sing, and I knew I couldn't pursue a vocal career performing with Ornette Coleman. And plus I was her musical director and singing duets in the show with her and stuff. Yeah. So I chose to go that direction. Yeah. And that's actually how I landed my first record deal from working with Regina Bell.
Oh, wow. Okay. And when was that?
That was in 1990, actually.
Okay.
1990. Mm-hmm.
And so my next question to you then, Chris, is what came next? Came the record, or came your tenure with Al Jarreau? How did that work?
Well, no, I did a couple of solo records. My first CD was First Time, which I released in 91, 92. And then Sincerely Yours came after that.
Right.
And then I was working with Kirk Whalum recommended me to to Bob James, and we
Sure.
we did a record called Joined at the Hip,
Sure,
and we
I
toured
remember
together.
that. Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And so I was working with Bob James. Actually, once we finished that tour, Bob hired me to play in his trio. So it was Bob, Billy Kilson, and I. And then then I received a phone call to work with a singer, as he put it, Gil Goldstein said, "Would you be interested in working with a singer by the name of Al Jarreau?" I said, wait. What did you say, Al Jarreau? And he said, yeah, Al Jarreau. So I was like, I was a huge Al Jarreau fan since the 10th grade in high school. So needless to say, I leaped at the opportunity, man. Right. And so many people ask me, well, Chris, you kind of disappeared. And I disappeared per se because I was working with Al Jarreau. I mean, how many opportunities does an individual get to work with a mentor and someone that they admire and love? So, so I spent over 20 years with Al. Yeah. And when he passed away, that's when I decided, okay, it's time for Chris Walker to come back and do, back on the scene.
And you did such a beautiful tribute album with lots of special guests. By the way, very upset not to get the call to play on that album.
What? Hold up now. Wait a minute.
I couldn't be more upset. But that's the truth.
But I'm gonna be honest with you now. I tried to pick people that worked directly with Al. Now I don't know if you ever had a chance. I don't know if you've ever worked with Al before.
I was managed by Al's manager.
Oh, were you?
Bill Darlington. Yes.
I didn't know that. Have you ever played with Al?
Did I ever play with Al? I've certainly met him numerous times on festivals and so on. Anyway, I'm just kidding, right?
Oh, okay.
Don't stress out. But
my apologies.
But Chris, so I want to get back to a couple of Al Jarreau stories. But before we do, I want to just take it back to Alone Together, because you have your own unique style, and your tone. Well, for one thing, is to say you're soulful is an understatement, but there is a sensibility. There is a quality to your voice and the way you deliver a message that not everybody has. How about that? And the way you connected with the song we did on Alone Together, Everything Was Changed, a classic. It was actually a classic. It was on a Quincy Jones record originally, but it was done by the artist that wrote it, Bernard Eichner. Mm-hmm. And I heard it many times after that. I heard it when George Benson did it, and also when Randy Crawford did it, because I toured with Randy for many years. But the way you sang it on this album, every time I hear it, and I've heard it now a million times because we remixed the album, we remixed your special guest appearance for the album, and the way you sing that gets to me every time. It just goes straight at me. It goes in there and just sits there. So would it be, I want to know a little bit more about why that song connects so much to you, but I want to play a little clip of exactly what I'm talking about. This is Everything Must Change on Alone Together featuring Chris Walker.
The young become the old, and mysteries do unfold. That's the way of time. No one and nothing goes unchanged. Oh, there are not many things in life you can't be sure of. Except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is a masterclass in vocal singing, hand percussion, performance in general. I mean, I don't want it to stop. I don't want the music to stop right now. I still, after all these years, after heard it so many times with your performance, I don't want it to stop. I'm like, please. I'm sitting there going, I don't know how long the clip is. Please let it go. You know.
Right.
But Chris, what is it about this song that that gets us the way it does? Tell us.
You know, for me, Michael, for so many years, I've played a supporting role as a bassist and a background role with Al Jarreau, which I love to do. Now, having the opportunity to focus on singing, which I haven't had an opportunity to do that for a long time, and singing that particular song. I mean, when you think about the lyrical context of it,
unbelievable,
it takes you to a whole other place. And it's like, you know, I just close my eyes and try to connect with the spirit in which the writer intended.
Yes.
You see, and to me, every time I sing, every note that I play on the bass, I'm connecting to God, the source. So that's where I come from in everything that I do. So, you know.
Well, you do it so beautifully, and again, I thank you so much for being a part of the album. And we've been talking about this for a long time, and now it's here. It's coming out on Friday, and I am so excited to be able to finally for everyone to hear it. So it's cool. But let's get back to Al Jarreau. So I do see. Well, there's certain gestures that you do, both with your hands, your body language, and vocally, that certainly I see some Al Jarreau there. Now, did you always have this, or was this something that sort of was developed along with you performing from him? Was just watching him from your bass position and seeing, okay, and it just automatically getting absorbed? Or tell me, how did that come all about?
Man, you know, like I said, I've been a huge Jarreau fan since I was in the 10th grade, and his spirit is in me. And it's like an out of body experience when I'm on stage, because I feel him like right there next to me saying, and he called me Sea Walk. Go ahead, Sea Walk. You know, so it's just like I can't help it. I mean, after being on stage with him and watching him, and when I tell you, I studied Al. I mean, it's, you know, and learning how he would breathe, and just I could tell what he was going to do from the breaths that he would take. Right. So it's like, you know, and I found myself sitting around just going, I mean, it just kind of grew on me. What can I tell you, you know? But so anyway, he's in
Brothers from Another Mother, right? I mean, basically it was, so very, very exciting stuff. Is there a story, if you had to say, what would be your favorite Al Jarreau memory or story from the road, from anywhere?
Man, okay. Well, let me think real quickly. Well, one of the things I love about Al the most is his love for his audience. Yeah. And you know, we would be on stage. One time there was a kid who was 9 years old that was in the audience. We were somewhere in Germany, and Al was doing whatever he was doing, and when he connected with that kid, he stopped and said, "Stand up, tell me your name." I mean, I had a conversation with the kid right there in the middle of the concert. Right. And he always said, "Parents, make sure you bring the Kinder." He called the kids the Kinder. Right. To his concert. So that's one of the things I really loved about him. I mean, I have a few other crazy stories, but we'll save those for another time.
But towards the end of his life, when he was not super healthy at the end, right? I mean, but didn't he call you from the hospital or something like that, or is that too heavy of a story to talk about? No. Because I seem to remember when we talked about this on the Christmas tour, there was something about him calling you or having a little conversation with you that moved me. So I don't know if that's if that's something you can share or not. It's okay if you can't. You know, I understand. Oh no. It's fine. I'm in a better place with it now. But he was, when I found out how ill he actually was. I flew to LA the next day,
And so I'm there visiting him in the hospital, and a relative came. So I went downstairs to grab a bite to eat just to give him a little privacy. And I left my phone plugged up in his room, charging on silent. Well, Al thought I flew back to Houston without saying goodbye. So, and at that time, it was very difficult for him to move in his bed. So he asked someone to get his phone and call me. So he called me and left a message. And the message that he left is the message that I started the CD, We're in This Love Together Celebrating. That's the first thing you hear is the message that he left me. Wow. And man, I tell you, I boo-hooed for such a long time.
Well, of course, yeah.
But so, you know.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It's so cool. This is music has such a reach for anywhere in the world. And if you look at everyone's comments here, they are coming from all over the world. And I just think it's so cool that music can do that. And so I thank everybody for writing all these beautiful. Hi from Italy. I saw Romania.
We're supposed to say hello to them. I saw Daryl Fitzgerald Walker. I saw Nikita.
Lori. It's Miami. I mean, but how cool is that, though? That music has that kind of reach, and how blessed we are to be involved in music the way we are. I never stop thinking about that. Hey, Chris. Maybe we can get you to play a little bit, before we do, I'd love to just understand and ask you about. So you had a solo record, or had a couple of solo records, and one of the songs you did was a top 40 Billboard. Was it an R&B hit or
R&B
tell us about that.
A song called "Take Time."
Yeah,
went top 20, I believe, on the Hot 100 charts. Right. And it's funny because I wrote that song when I was.
Look at you, Chris. You handsome devil.
Man, I wrote that song when I was working with Ornette Coleman. And, I thought he would get upset that I was working on, R&B music. But I didn't have a record deal at the time. But I had written a number of songs. I said one day, and I'm a firm believer that you have to speak it as if it's already done. Yeah. I said, I'm going to have a record deal one day. So I wrote practically all of the songs on my first album. So, yes, that particular song. And then there's another song on my Sincerely Yours project. I had an opportunity to write with Carol Bayer Sager.
Oh, wow.
And man, talk about an incredible experience. She didn't know me, but she heard some of the songs from my project and agreed to sit down and write with me.
Wow.
And
she was writing lyrics, I take it, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I'm actually not aware if she writes music too, because I know she wrote a lot of stuff. I mean, she wrote a lot of stuff with everybody basically, but David Foster was one of them.
And Burt Bacharach, of course.
Burt Bacharach and Marvin Hamlish. I mean, she wrote a lot of wonderful things, but that's incredible.
And I went to her house, and I walked into the music room. She literally walked to me and said, "Hi, I'm Carol." I said, "Well, hi, I'm Chris." She said, "Do you play piano?" I said, "Well, I just noodle a little bit." She said, "Well, why don't you sit over there?" She had a beautiful 9-foot grand piano. Yeah. And the first thing I played when I sat down was the intro to a song entitled "How Do You Heal a Broken Heart?" And she said, "Well, what is that?" I said, "Well, it's just something I'm making up." She said, "I really like that." She said, "Well, let's write a song." We wrote that song in 3 hours.
Wow.
Literally 3 hours. And we were done. It was magical. I mean, it flowed effortlessly. And so, you know what? In fact,
can you do a little bit of it?
Well, I don't know. Let's see if the people who are on here right now, if they want to hear it, let me know if you want to hear it. Maybe I'll do it.
I think it's safe to say they do.
You have to play with me now.
Okay. I was going to ask. I hope you'll invite me to play a little bit.
All right, Lori. Hey, Lori. Lori said one of the best. Okay, well, let's see. Lori says yes. Okay, so maybe I will do it.
All right, I got my horn ready to go.
Okay, let's see here. Let me get it together. All right, can you hear that? Of course we do. Oh, thank you, Terry. Okay, here we go. Let me see. So remember, this is the intro I played when I first sat down at the piano. Can't believe what I just heard. Could it be true? Are you the girl I thought I knew? The one who promised me her love. Where did it go? Does anybody ever know? How do you heal a broken heart that feels like it'll never beat this much again? Oh, no. I just can't let go. How do you heal a broken heart that feels like it will never love this much again? Oh, no. Tonight I'll hold what could be right. Tomorrow I'll pretend to let you go. And were you ever what you see? Or was I a fool who fell in love with his own dream? And now you say you want to leave, start a new life today. Yeah. The words I thought you'd never say. How do you heal a broken heart that feels like it will never beat this much again? Oh, no. I just can't let go. How do you heal a broken heart that feels like it will never love this much again? Tonight I'll go what could be right. Tomorrow I'll pretend to finally put it all behind me. We can find that I have found a new life in my soul, and find that I know how to let you go. You go. How do you heal a broken heart that feels like it will never beat this much again? Oh, no. I just can't let go. How do you heal a broken heart that feels like it will never love this much again? Oh, no. Tonight I'll hold what could be right. Tomorrow I'll pretend to. We can put it all behind me and find that I know how to let Michael you go. Know how to let you go. Yeah, Michael.
Yes, sir. Chris, we usually just do a little soundbite on the show, but here we are, a whole. No. I'm so glad. I was going to say, I'm so glad you keep going because I enjoy listening to you so very much. And by the way, for you to say that you noodle on the piano a little bit, I mean, you're a great pianist, you're a great vocalist, you're a great bassist, you're a man of all trades. So, Chris, it is a pleasure to spend this time with you here on my show, but also in person. I can't wait to do it again in person. And
Yes, indeed.
yeah, and thanks again for being a part of Alone Together, the duets. It's
Yes.
so excited that it all worked out, and thank you
Yes,
so much
indeed.
for everything.
All right, my friend.
All right, buddy.
All
Take
right.
care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Walker, the extremely talented Chris Walker right there. Oh, you know, to get this sense of normalcy, to be back with my buddies, creating music, having lovely conversation, it makes me very happy. I have to tell you, it makes me very happy. And what also makes me very happy is for you to be here witnessing it all. So thank you for tuning in here on another Wednesday Music and Conversation. I'll be back next Wednesday with yet another guest of Alone Together, and I'm going to keep this one a secret for now, but it will be definitely worth tuning in, trust me. Again, if you haven't seen, you can still get today pre-orders of Alone Together. You can get them signed or unsigned. You can also go to your digital services, pre-save it, and you'll have it. Hopefully, if you get it in today, you'll have it very soon to the release date. But album comes out this Friday, and I am super excited for all of you to hear it. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. It's lovely to be here. See you later.